In the heart of the fire, the greatest saint who ever lived stops praying and does not start begging. 20 years of devotion burned down to one defiant act. With the last breath left in her body, the gentlest soul in the empire does not pray. She names Crovan, the hierarch who weighed her like ore, bled her dry, and built her heresy out of paper. She curses him first by name, and the crowd nearest the cathedral steps falls quiet. Castel. The prince who signed her death without looking up to bury the proof of stolen gold. She curses the hand, the seal, and the face he shows the empire. Severin, the holiest man alive, who wept for her courage with dry eyes. She curses the throne itself, and on the steps the old man's blessing hands tighten. And last, the deepest wound, the goddess she served barefoot in the rain. You left me, she screams at the empty sky. I gave you everything, and you watched. The sky, as always, says nothing. She is wrong, and you know it. Behind the severed light, Aurelius hears her name turned into a curse and shatters herself against the wall one final time. Nothing crosses. A goddess learns what it is to be helpless. At the barrier, Edda has stopped screaming. There is nothing left to scream with. She just holds the rail and watches the only person who ever loved her burn, and the crowd cheers around her like weather. Then, with the last air in her lungs, the gentlest soul in the empire makes a vow. If there is a next life, she will spend every hour of it collecting what they owe. Mark the vow. Something is listening, and then it is done. The smoke takes her breath, the fire takes the rest, and the heart that healed an empire beats once more and stops. Leora, the greatest saint who ever lived, is dead. The square feels it before it sees it. The screaming stops, and the silence after is so heavy that even the festival crowd forgets, for one breath, to celebrate. Where a saint's soul goes, there should be light, hands of warmth, a welcome. She falls instead through a dark, with no floor, no goddess, no door. Heaven, as far as she can tell, did not even open, but something in that dark turns toward her. Older than the church, older than the wards. It has heard 10,000 dying curses and ignored them. Hers it answers, because hers came from a vessel built to carry a god. The faith has a name for it, spoken only to burn the books that contain it. The tithe, a power that runs not on light, but on sin. Where her goddess flows through the pure, this flows through the guilty. It does not promise heaven. It promises grip. Every cruelty a soul commits becomes a handle she can seize. The greedier the man, the deeper her reach. The innocent she will never touch. Her killers were never innocent. It shows her the city as it truly is. Sin glowing in the dark like rot glows in wood. The cathedral burns brightest of all, a bonfire of guilt with 3 names at its heart. Her names. A year ago she would have refused. The saint who walked barefoot into rot would have chosen heaven's silence over this. But they burned that woman an hour ago. The thing she has become reaches out and takes it. Hear the price before you cheer. The tide feeds on sin, and it will pull her towards sin to stay fed. Every use burns away a little more of the gentle saint. She is fighting rot with rot. Remember that. In the dark of death, something forbidden pours into the empty vessel. Black sigils write themselves across her skin. Violet eyes flush ember. And a heart, the church declared, stopped forever, beats. Above her, the fire has finished its work. The crowd drifts home satisfied. Guards rake the embers of what the church promises is a heretic, fully purified. The square empties. Nobody watches Ash. Crovan leaves last, as architects do. The vaults are full, the channels sealed, the witness burned. He enters her death and his ledger is closed. The one entry that man will ever get wrong. Castel departs rehearsing tomorrow's morning face. Severin blesses the smoke a final time with steady hands and unsteady eyes. Old men who rob gods can feel an account left open. He just cannot see where. Hours pass. Rain comes thin and cold and puts out the last embers. The square that held 50,000 voices holds one bored guard and a hill of gray ash. And then the ash exhales. She rises out of her own pyre remade. Unburned. Pale silver hair against a black sky. eyes ember violet, ash-gray corruption curling at her fingertips. The cold open was no trick. The Saint of Ash is standing. The guard turns, and she sees him the way the tithe sees everyone now. Not a man, a ledger. The bribes, the prisoners he beat for sport, the doors he walked past because the screaming behind them belonged to someone else. Handles, everyone. She speaks one soft word, and the guilty man drops to his knees in the ash and forgets her face entirely. But forgetting her is the only mercy he gets, as her tithe drains up her arm. Strength and sin, both true. Every soul he ever wronged rises in him and refuses to sink again. The child he let starve, the mother he turned from the gate, the faces he taught himself to sleep through, surfacing now, waking and dreaming, and never going quiet again. She could take more, drain him to a husk in the ash and walk on. This time she doesn't. She leaves him his life and the weight of it, and walks into a city full of deeper rot, still learning the shape of what she has become. Then she looks at her own hands, the hands that healed an empire for free, and feels what is missing. The warmth never coming back. She does not weep. The fire took that too. She stands in the rain, learning what she is now, behind the sealed door. Aurelis feels the forbidden power bloom where her saint died, and understands two things at once. Leora lives, and she lives by the one door heaven barred. The goddess weeps with relief and with horror. In the ash she speaks three names like entries in a ledger. Croven, who bled her. Castel, who signed. Severin, who blessed. Not rage. Bookkeeping. They taught her how a death sentence begins, and she will not come for them as a ghost or a monster. Underestimation is a blade. She will come back gentle, serene, a survivor with a soft smile, and they will open every door themselves. One soul in this city is still pure enough that her new power could never touch her. Edda, weeping somewhere in the dark, believing her saint is gone. Leora will protect that belief. The dead make better hunters. She pulls a dead man's cloak from the barrier wreckage and walks out of the square that killed her, barefoot through her own ash, past banners of the goddess she no longer prays to. The Empire thinks the story ended tonight. They burned a saint today, and by dawn there is nothing on the pyre but rain. Next time, the Empire celebrates her death, and a gentle, impossible survivor walks back through the cathedral doors wearing a soft smile. Her ledger opens.